And I know that you were really close with Johnny Bryant, and I'm wondering if being that close with an assistant coach, if that maybe makes you a little standoffish to create relationships with other assistant coaches. And then to that point, how has it been working with Keon?
Ooh, you start off the morning strong, Sarah. No, I mean, I know I've known Keon, since my first year. Johnny obviously is like family, is like a brother to me. And for me, it's a first, kind of having assistant coach that you're close to kind of, not be there. I've had a bunch of firsts throughout my career, and this is just the first to that. It's definitely weird. It's different, it's a different vibe for sure. But, with Keon, man, he's been terrific. He's been a guy who just, we kind of trying to figure each other out. Listen, I'm trying to figure out how he communicates, his motivation tactics, his criticism tactics, like little things like that to kind of get me to be the best player that I can be. And he's been fantastic. I think, he's from a former player. He sees things playing around guys. He's been around Dwayne Wade, who I'm close with. He's been on the Boston Celtics team that won it on with those guys in the Magic. So he's seen a lot, so for him, I try and listen to him as much as I possibly can, because he's someone that, I think that can really help elevate my game as well. But with Johnny leaving, I think it's just one of those things you just have to adapt to as a player. There's going to be different things, different circumstances in life and in this game, and I think that's just one of them. But there's always love for Johnny. I still talk to Johnny all the time. But with Keon, he's been great, man, and I'm excited to continue with our relationship, not just on the court but off the court as well.
Ben Anderson, KSLSports.com.
Along those lines a little bit, what's your relationship like with Jaylen Brown? You guys were obviously pretty close in the bubble last year, and how's that continued?
I hate him. No, I'm playing. That's my guy, man. We've known each other, him and JT, actually, since high school. We've it's been documented that we kind of like messed around or whatever, like kind of filming each other in the ice bath and little things like that. But he's a guy that I always kind of look to in certain instances. He's very intelligent for his age, or our age, I should say, for us being so young. He's a guy that if I have questions, I'll even ask him, about certain things as far as life, not even just basketball. He's just someone that I can count on as a friend. And I think it's pretty dope to have friends like that in the league. But on the court, it's a battle. It's going to be a battle tonight. It's always has been, always will be. And I think for us, it's just finding ways as young players to continue to grow and continue to be better. And I believe he's questionable tonight, but I hope he plays. I haven't spoken to him, but I think he's just a guy that, is just someone that I can kind of look to in different ways in life and kind of communicate. And he's done a phenomenal job speaking up for our people and standing for what's right, and I commend him for that. And I've tried to follow suit and do as best I can as well.
Eric Walden, Salt Lake Tribune.
Hey, Don. So over the course of this winning streak, there's been a lot of discussion about all the things that are going right for this team. Where do you still see there being area for improvement? What are kind of the weak spots that could still use a little bit of shoring up as the rest of the season unfolds?
I won't give them all away out publicly. No, I'm playing. I think I said it before. I think the biggest thing for us is when we've had games where we've been up 20, 30, and obviously with this tough stretch, it's not always going to be that coming up. But I think being able to stay home on a lead, when we get a lead, not to kind of let up because we get up 10, kind of get up 11, 12, whatever. I think that's going to be the biggest thing, just continuing to keep our foot on the gas on all fronts. I think, and I always relate this back to the bubble. We kind of got lax a little bit in our finer details, being able to stay home and stay honing on the little things that we continue to do. And I think that's what's helped us this year. We've done a good job of that, staying down and focusing on the little details, game by game, whether it's 3 games in 62 hours or it's, a 2-week road trip or a long homestand, whatever it may be. We've continued to stay on those details. And it's going to be really crucial coming up with this tough stretch we have coming up. And that's to be the biggest thing for us. I think if we can continue to do that, we'll be in good shape.
Abby Chin, NBC Sports Boston.
Thank you. Donovan, you talked about your development as players. One piece for Jaylen and Jayson that's been huge this season is just their development as playmakers. And I'm curious, how difficult is that in this league, reading defenses, and what are some of the keys, what has been the keys to your development in that area?
I think the biggest thing is the first off is seeing it, because if you don't see it, then that's when you're in trouble. So once you start to see, whether it's on film or on the court, you see the reads, you understand where the reads are. That's the first step, and then it becomes how do you get to make those reads? How do you get to make those passes? For those two guys, their reads are different than mine because they're 6'7", 6'7", 6'8", so their ability to make passes in certain areas is going to be a little bit easier in crowds than mine. So my approach to it is not getting into a crowd, where guys are longer and I can't really make those passes. I said this the other day, like setting up how to make a pass, setting up how to draw the defense in, and then get into a spot where I can still create a pass. I think that's the biggest thing for me. And I think it took me a little bit to kind of figure that out. It's not easy when you got guys who've been doing this for years and you're coming in trying to figure out how to, I wasn't always this scorer. So figuring that out, and then we also figuring out how to get guys open looks. So I think I've been progressed, and I can do an even better job of doing that. And I think just being able to set up my reads, I think, is the biggest thing.
Thank you.
Bill Bailey, Jazz TV.
Hey, Donovan. Hey,
Yeah.
several years ago when Golden State were making that run of theirs, I asked Coach Quinn Snyder what he thought. He said something very interesting. I'll never forget. He said that those guys play like a living organism. Regardless of what piece you take out, the system's the same. Has he talked to you guys about, well, how difficult, first of all, is it to continue to play like that on read and react? And is that the type of play he's always kind of aspired to getting from his guys?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we've all aspired to is just being able to think before the catch. You people wonder why we get into the paint. It's because we already determined what we're about to do, or you kind of just go. Going is a term that's called go and catch. Like getting the ball in the wing and go and get into the paint. And it goes back to what I said, like drawing the defense in and finding guys. So now we have shooters at pretty much every spot. So being able to guys who can shoot contested threes, make contested threes. And that threat keeps the defense out. So if I get into the paint, Mike, Joe, Bojan, we have a layup, we have a floater, we have Rudy on the lob. So it makes it a lot easier when you have guys, especially who are, like Mike, Joe, Bojan, Royce, JC, list goes on, who can shoot it that well from the outside. But being able to get and continue to like I said, we have Mike out, but we understand that it's always going to be the same, whether it's Mie coming in or it's George getting extra minutes, like whoever it may be, understanding that that's the goal. The end goal is to get into the paint, trying to create an advantage in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's something that continues to live on, and we can continue to do it regardless of who's out there. I think that's the one thing I've understood since I've been here, my 4 years, and we've done a great job of it this year.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
Gary Washburn, Boston Globe.
Sorry, Gary, you may
Hey,
need to mute.
My fault. Hey, Donovan, I know you're your fourth year now. When did you make the adjustment to know when defenses were trying to stop you and you became the focal point? It seems like Jaylen and Jayson are kind of still going through that process of learning how to deal with doubles and when defenses are focused on stopping you. What kind of process is that? How difficult is that to make the adjustment?
I think, like I said, I think it just goes back to seeing it. I think, for those two guys in particular, knowing them since high school, they've been guys who can score at will. You can send a double dribble, it doesn't really matter. So being able to now, you're going against guys who, you look at the what games, the Clipper game, JT. I watched that. JT did a great job of being able to manipulate that fourth quarter. Jaylen did a great job a few games ago, or before he got hurt, manipulating that. So I think the biggest thing for us young guys coming up is just being able to understand where the reads are going to be. There's not really too many things the defense can do. They can blitz, they can drop the big, they can be up to be back, they can switch. But we've pretty much seen it all throughout the 4 years that we've been here. So now it's a matter of how do you can't let the defense dictate your game. How do you manipulate the whole game? How do you see it? One thing I've always loved about hearing from Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan is they would see things in the first quarter and wouldn't even come back to it until the fourth. And I think that's something that, it took me a while to even understand what the hell that meant. You know what I mean? So I think that those guys, myself included, we're going to continue to find ways to just become better playmakers. And then on the flip side, it'll help us, do what we do on the offensive end.
Jay Catch, The Zone.
Yeah, Donovan, I wanted to ask, in terms of you kind of taking over as more of a point guard role on this team, how have guys like Joe and Mike helped you kind of develop those skills, and what pointers have they given you in terms of running this offense?
I think it goes back to, what I was saying, like the setups, man, are huge. Mike's a guy who's about the same size as me and had to deal with that. So being able to set up looks, understanding how to manipulate defenses, knowing coverages, knowing how to get into the paint, create advantages. And sometimes it's not even what they say, it's just me sitting there watching them. And I've had the pleasure of watching Joe for 4 years straight, and just watching how his I call him slow, but like he does it in such a way where he manipulates, whether it's the ball fake, drawing the defense in with the left-hand pass, finding Rudy on the late look, like I've been continuously watching. So when you see that on a daily, I think that's something that definitely helps me. And as far as Mike goes, man, I'm right next to him in the locker room. So I ask him probably a thousand questions, just about how he sees things and where guys need to be and what guy has it going and how he sees that I need a shot, or Bojan is feeling it, or Bojan has a mismatch, or JC has a mismatch, and he's really thinking about that all in real time. So really trying to find ways to implement that into my game. And I think I've done an okay job at that. I can continue to be better, but it definitely helps me have really savvy vets like those two.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Donovan.
Thank you.